What's going on, YouTube? So today we're going to be installing the Carbontastic steering wheel onto the Ram 1500 Rebel. So what we're basically going to be doing is just getting this wheel out there and then replacing it with the Carbontastic one. It is a direct replacement. It's completely bolt-on. It already has all the electronic components in there. So the main thing we're gonna have to do is basically get this airbag out of here, because that's what we're gonna be reusing, you know, the horn and airbag assembly. So that's probably gonna take, you know, the longest time to get this thing out of here. I've heard it's kind of a nightmare to get out. There's some clips that we have to try and finesse to get out from behind here. So, you know, before we do all that, we're also gonna need to remove this trim piece from right up here to access those clips itself. So from what I saw, we need to remove this. We also need to remove this bottom kick plate. But before we do all that, we need to disconnect the battery, because the last thing you want is having this fucking thing explode in your face when you're trying to remove it. So definitely you want to disconnect that battery, negative battery terminal, let it sit for a little bit so everything's turned off, and then you can proceed to trying to get all this shit out of here. So basically just going to be making like a time lapse, like a lot of my other install videos. I'll make some comments on some things you need to see along the way, but I've never done this before, so take it with a grain of salt. You guys might know some better tricks than I do, so this is just for entertainment purposes. Do this at your own risk. I don't want anyone getting hurt. I don't want anyone breaking their truck and then coming back and not blaming me, but I might lead you the wrong way of doing something. But either way, I hope you enjoy this video. Stick around, see the final product. I'm excited to see it. Hope you guys are too. Okay, so here we are. We got the top piece removed. Basically, to remove this bottom piece, it's just two Phillips head screws, one that goes here and one that goes here. Basically, as soon as you unscrew those, you can basically pull this out. It's just held in there with the clips, and then you can get underneath here, and there's one section right here, and then on that side right there as well, and that is a torque bit screw, like the little stars, kind of like that. So you'll need a Phillips head screwdriver and then just a torque bit that you can adapt into a screwdriver as well, to then go ahead and get this piece removed. So you can see right here, this is the clock spring. You're going to want to try your best not to really let that move. So I'll go into that a little bit more once I get this actual the airbag out of there. But from back here, you can kind of see, I don't know if you can really see, but right there, this little section, that's where you're going to have to basically stick either like a flathead screwdriver, or if you have like some sort of wedge in order to unhook the hooks that are holding this airbag on there. There's three of them. There's, I think, one here, and then one up top. And then basically once you undo those clips, you can just more or less pull this out, and then that's going to expose the main bolt that's holding this steering wheel on there. So I'm going to go ahead and try and basically move this wheel around so I can get a better angle at all these clips, and then I'll show you guys exactly what we have to do next after that. So removing the airbag is going to be the hardest part about this whole install, I think. And basically what I'm doing is I'm kind of streaming off my phone here. The clip, I don't know if you can really see it on there, it's going to be really hard, but it's like that metal tab that's like right there. But let me turn it around. You can see it. It's right now. You're not going to be able to see it, but it's in there. It's basically like this little metal tab. You can see it right there. And basically what you kind of got to try and do is lift that off of this hook and then pull it out. But it's hard to get any sort of leverage in there. I'm sure they make some kind of special tool that would make this super simple, but clearly I don't have that. So I'm trying to make do with what I have here. So I'm just gonna try and get this off. If I can come up with any sort of techniques, I'll let you know, but we'll get back to it once I get this airbag out of here. All right, so here we are. These are the three clips that I was referring to that you kind of got to finesse out of there. Basically what I did was, you can see back here, I'll show you, kind of. See right here, you kind of just stick the screwdriver in there and you try and got to underneath this somehow and basically lift it up so you can kind of unhook it. But yeah, that's the airbag right here. Then you can see we got these two harnesses here that we got to remove. And then in here, there's another harness right here that we'll have to remove to actually get the wheel out itself. And then another plug right there that we'll have to be removing. So I'll go ahead, I'll get all those three harnesses pulled. And then right here, this is the main bolt that's going to be holding the steering wheel in place. So we got to back that out. Okay, so we got all the harnesses undone. And we got the main bolt that's holding it in there backed out. This is a 14mm bolt. Basically what you want to do is just back that out, but you want to try and keep this wheel stable as possible so you don't really loosen up that clock spring in there, because that really has control over your turn signals. When you turn, the turn signal will turn off. It's basically all controlled by that clock spring, and it's also basically like your wheel alignment as well. So if that's kind of off kilter, then your steering is going to kind of not your actual steering, but your wheel's going to be turned a little bit when you want it to be pointing straight to go straight. So now basically we got to get this steering wheel off of there. You can see it's still locked in there. What a lot of people do is they use a pulling tool, but there's really not a lot of room to get a pulling tool behind here. So I'm kind of going to do it the ghetto way, kind of how we used to do it back in the day when we would take our steering wheels off of our tuner cars, our 240s and stuff. Basically put that bolt in there a little bit more or less. It's just a catch, so when you go to yank this, the steering wheel doesn't come flying at you. What you want to do is kind of hit it kind of firmly in a few places. You can use your knee, your hands, whatever you need to do just to kind of break it loose. And then once it's kind of loose, you can more or less just pull it off. Again, do this at your own discretion. If you can somehow get a pulling tool back here where you think you can get this pulled off without breaking all this plastic or getting behind here, because I can't really figure out how you would do it, but I'm sure someone else has. So again, this is just entertainment purposes. Go about it at your own risk. And there you have it. Again, kind of ghetto, but it gets the job done. So now we go ahead, back this bolt out as we used as our catch. And there it is. Stock wheel is removed. So again, this is your clock spring right here. You want to try and make sure this is isolated. You can kind of see right there, there's a little arrow and another arrow right below it. That's your indication tab, but that's not always off. It really depends on your alignment as well. So you really want to try and keep this clock spring isolated as much as possible when you're removing that wheel. So got the old wheel out, and it's time for this bad boy right here. Oh yeah. So you can see, let's see right here, this clip, I'm trying to see where it is on here, right back here. Perfect. Alrighty, so it's time for the moment of truth, getting this all lined up and getting it installed. So let's go ahead, put these things in. Go ahead, feed these cables through here. Alrighty, so there you go. You can see we got the wheel on there. We got that all lined up. Basically, I don't know if you can really see it on here. The GoPro's not really focusing, but like right there, you can kind of see it's like a notch, and then there's another notch on the bottom. Basically, you want to line those up, and then this will basically just kind of slot in there. It's not 100% seated yet because it'll back in a little bit more once you tighten down this bolt. You want to make sure you torque this bolt down to factory specs. I don't know what that is yet, but I'm going to look it up. I'm assuming it's around 110, 120, something like that. That seems to be the common specs, but you know, again, I'll let you guys know as soon as I figure that out. But now basically it's just kind of reversing the process of what it was to remove it. All these wires hooked up in here, these are the airbag ones. That's the main one right there that connects to the clock spring. The only one that doesn't seem to have a connection is, I believe, this one, and I think what this one might be is the heating element. So I'm assuming that we do lose the heating with this wheel. You know, for me that's not a big deal, but for other people that live in other states where it gets cold or snow, you know, that might be a deal breaker for you guys. But personally, I don't think I've ever even used the heating wheel, so for me it's no big deal, but that's something to think about. All right guys, airbags back installed, and with that we're done. It looks fucking awesome. It looks great in here. Feels good. Feels a little bit thicker than the stock one, so that's nice. But yeah, man, looks really good. Go ahead and put the battery back on there now. Turn it back on, make sure everything's good. Hopefully we don't have any engine codes. If so, I'm just gonna connect my scanner onto it, scan it, and if it's just an airbag code, I'm just gonna clear it. More than like, sometimes you do get an airbag code when you do disconnect the battery, not when you do disconnect one of these airbags. It's not a big deal, just as long as everything else is fine. I don't really care about that. Also gonna need to go ahead and put these trim pieces back together. But yeah guys, that's it right there. The install is really not too hard. This was, you know, my first time doing this in a Ram 1500, so it took me about an hour and a half, close to 2 hours. That was really just honestly the hardest part is getting this airbag off. That took me maybe 30-45 minutes in itself. The clips are really a pain in the ass, so I'm really hoping that everything's connected back there, because if not, I'm gonna have to fucking remove it again, and I'm not looking forward to that. But yeah, really all you're gonna need to do this is a Phillips screwdriver, torque bit, then a socket, 14mm socket, just to get the main bolts off of there to remove the steering wheel. So honestly, it's a pretty simple install. If you guys want to go ahead and do this yourselves, hopefully my alignment's not too off. Really hope that's not the case, because I've already put this on there. I should have really checked all that before I did that, but you live and you learn. Alrighty guys, everything's put back together. There you can go, there you see, good representation of the wheel with the interior. Looks great. Now for the moment of truth, let's start it up and hope there's no codes. So far everything's looking good. Awesome. No check engine light. I'm gonna change my oil soon, but yeah, so far everything looks pretty good. Awesome. Steer wheel nice and straight. Tires pointing nice and straight. So all lined up nicely. So let's go ahead. Volume control.
This song's about when you're in that rut and in depression or whatever it may be in life.
Awesome, that's working. Now over on this side, see if we can change the stations. Look at that, perfect. Those controls are working. The horn works. Voice command. Let's see, voice command working. Hands-free system loading, please wait. Okay, this seems to be working. It just takes some time sometimes when the battery's disconnected. All right, that's awesome. Cruise control on and off. Awesome. Okay, so yeah, it seems like the cord that was in there was for the heating element, which, you know, to me it's not a big deal. So there it is, guys. There's not much more to say. I think this looks absolutely awesome. It feels great. Pretty simple install, honestly. It should take you no longer than 2 hours. Again, if you don't feel comfortable doing this, I recommend going to a shop. But, you know, watch this video a few times. If you have any questions, you can always hit me up. I'm always down to help anyone. It's a pretty simple install. Just the main thing is just be careful with this airbag. You don't want that exploding in your face. But yeah, guys, that's gonna do it for this video. if you like this video, please go ahead, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button if you like it. That means a lot to me. You know, stick around for more of the project. We're going to be doing some more interior stuff that I haven't really seen anyone else do. So stick around, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.